I shoved back on the box, and he countered by bringing up his other hand to increase his attack. His jaw clenched tightly, eyes staring at the mailbox. Bingo. All this time, I thought you were just jealous that my powers were cooler than yours. I sunk my fingers into the metal and pulled as I spun around, yanking the metal square free from his control. The action caught him off guard, and he stumbled forward a couple of steps while I completed my turn. I hurled the mailbox back at him like a discus. I actually saw his shit-eating grin falter, then widen as he recovered from my feint and put up both hands, slowing the projectile to a stop a few feet from his chest. He looked over the top of the floating object, mouth open with some witty remark, most likely. I guess about the time his brain processed what it was seeing, he realized his mistake. When I'd hurled the mailbox back to him, I took off running right behind it at maximum speed. I guess Knight had forgotten that I was not only strong and tough, but also fast. However, I hadn't forgotten about his powers, especially the limitation. An enhanced with telekinesis can move objects with just the power of their mind. But that type of power needs some type of focus, much like the way a wizard uses a wand. For most TKers, their hands serve as this focus until they gain enough discipline. Nightstar had all the discipline of a spoiled teenager. He'd used both hands to stop the crumpled piece of car from hitting him, and he'd done it again to catch the mailbox. Both hands occupied with a single task, which meant that none of them were creating a protective field. That little tidbit might have occurred to him when I zipped past the dented red-blue box to his side and punched him in the sternum. Since I didn't want murder on my hands, I dialed back on my strength so that I wouldn't knock his internal organs through his spine. However, the bones in his chest did crack. The air whooshed out of his lungs like it couldn't get away fast enough. As his eyes bugged and he crumpled over my fist, I opened my hand and pushed. Knight launched into the air and sailed back across the street to the parking lot. After all, turnabout is fair play. He came down out of the air and would have gone splat on the asphalt had manpower not been there to catch him. The hero snagged Nightstar right before impact and threw him over his right shoulder. Behind him on the asphalt lay a pile of Brickwall gang members. Unfortunately for the Electro twins, they were pinned under Behemoth. If the big goon had been awake, he might have enjoyed straddling two pretty girls. However, like the other three, he was out cold. Mr. Manpower gave me a smile and a two-fingered salute before adding Knight to the collection. I walked back over to the trio of bystanders and knelt down before the old woman. She had a look on her face that told me she'd not expected to get caught in the middle of an enhanced battle as a part of her day. In all fairness, neither had I. "Are you okay?" I said, as I looked her over for any cuts or bruises. "I'm sorry you were in danger." She put her hand on my shoulder and looked me in the eye. Her smile was as genuine as any I'd ever seen. "Hiro," she said, as she patted my shoulder. "Good girl." I shook my head. I wasn't a hero, not by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, I might have thrown a beat down on a supervillain, but that didn't mean I was championing for truth and justice. I just happened to be in the wrong place at the right time and got suckered into a fight with someone who had been hating me for a while. "Dude," one of the teen boys said, rocking back on his heels, "you were awesome, and I got the proof right here." He held out his phone. Great. Now the video of this little escapade was going to wind up on the internet. And I